911, what's your emergency? 911, what's your emergency?
Be advised, Car 4 has control of the pursuit. Proceed with caution.
Hey, everybody. Sorry it took me a bit to get here. I'm really sorry. I had something downloading and it was taking a bit of time, and I finally got it done. So, how are you all? It's good to see everyone. I know it's been a minute. I'm sorry I missed you all on Saturday, but I had some family time that I needed to do. I had forgotten about a family birthday party, and I actually was completely I was I was not happy with myself about it, but yeah, so that's why I wasn't here. Hey, Tech Death, how are you? Hey, Sheila from Tennessee. Welcome. Hey, John, how are you? So good to see you guys. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome, my dear. I hope you're feeling better. Hi, John. Always good to see you. Always good. Hey, Rose. Welcome. Hi, Michelle. How are you? How are things down in your part of the world? Hi, Sierra. Hi, True Crime Housewife. Hey, Rob Lee. We're going to have a good talk tonight, a good chat. I have some interesting stuff I kind of wanted to talk about concerning Delphi. We're just going to kind of talk about things, and I have another case that I'm going to introduce you to. The case is of Xavier Harrelson, and he was a 10-year-old boy from Iowa who went missing in May of 2021, and they found his body in a soybean field on September 30th of 2021. So we're going to talk about his case, which is currently unsolved. Very sad case. Hey, Deb, how are you? Much love to you, my dear. Hey, Avondale Mama, good to see you. Hi, Lisa. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, my birthday's on Monday. My grandkids are excited about it. You guys are so funny. So, let's get into it. I hope you guys like my new intro. I did it myself. I thought it was time to change it up a bit. Tech Death, it had nothing to do with you. If you send me new music, I will be more than happy to use it. I still have your outro, so everybody will still get to hear you shred at the end of the show. My old files, all of my old files, all my Delphi files, everything is all on my old computer. I still haven't moved all of that to my Mac. I just haven't had time with everything that's been going on. So I play a little bit I have to, I don't know. It's like I have to juggle because a lot of the stuff I need is on that computer. I don't know why every time I sit down here with you guys, my nose starts to itch. It's crazy. Thanks, Lisa. I loved doing it. I forgot how much fun making videos and stuff was. I haven't made videos in so long. I started out making videos when I started my channel. So if you guys haven't gone back and looked at my early videos, I've been told that my introduction video for Delphi is really, really good. And that was the very first video that I downloaded to YouTube on my channel. And that was 8 months ago. But I really did forget how much I enjoy making them. It's just kind of fun. It's just time consuming. It just takes a while. So we got some interesting stuff going on with Delphi, you guys. I don't know what's going on. But one of the things that one of the things I want to talk about first, we're going to get into Delphi here a little bit. I want to show, I posted this on the community page, you guys, and it was recently, it was the last debate between Tony Liggett and Mark Pinkard, who are running for Carroll County Sheriff. You guys, this is really worth watching, this debate. But I will tell you, it's kind of maddening as well, because you don't have a hand in it. It's like you can't vote, but yet you know how important this election for this community is going to be. And there was just another lawsuit today that was filed against Tobe Lesenby, the current sheriff of Carroll County. And this one is against his deputy sheriff. This is against his number two. This is a lawsuit from his second in command. So the person that Tobe, sorry guys, I'm just messing with my mic. Hold on. The person that Tobe handpicked to be his second in command, who had he got a raise in pay for this promotion. He absolutely has no marks against him as he's been in this position. And yet he was not the person that Tobe picked to support running for sheriff. And this guy is absolutely suing him. And it's just crazy. Like I said, you cannot make this stuff up that's happening in this community and in this area of Carroll County. You just can't. There's just so much. It's ridiculous. There is a 20-minute portion of the debate where they talk about the case. And I think it's, hi, Crimezilla. Welcome. So good to see you, my dear. It is so important to listen to what these guys have to say about it, because, man, it's time for the old to go out and the new to come in. It will only help what's going on in this community. So I'm going to share it for you. We're going to watch a little bit of it and see. You guys tell me what you think, because that's the most important part. Is I want to get your ideas on what you think about this. Make sure you guys tell me that you can, if you can hear it well enough or not.
Tony, if elected, will the double homicide investigation change?
Change in what manner?
Any manner, I mean, break up, move, whatever.
There are people that work this, as I said before, that is a top priority case for not just me, it's for the entire sheriff's department, it's for the Indiana State Police, it's mostly for the families, the Williams family, the German family. They are what drives us every day. And things are very positive. I'll leave it at that. Things are very positive right now. Nothing will change. We bring people in. We have help. Things are going well.
Mark, if you're elected, there's a rumor that you're gonna downsize or shut down the double homicide. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, well, that's fine.
I'm
That's
just
fine.
saying.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff.
I'm going to stop it here for just a minute. Did you guys hear what Tony said about how they're positive? They're feeling very positive right now. And it's up as far as I can get it to go. It is turned all the way up. Hold on. Yeah. And I thought it was really interesting because you'll see it when you listen to Mark here as Mark starts to talk. But Tony is, he talks about how they bring people in. They've not been, I don't know people he's talking about that they're bringing in, because we've heard of plenty of people that have asked to be brought in that were not allowed to come into this investigation. So I don't know exactly what he's talking about, but it's going to be interesting. Let's go ahead and listen to Mark.
Like I said before, the internet is a great place to share information when it's good information. However, no, that's absolutely false. Why would I do that? That's nonsense. It will ramp up. I will tell you that. When Tony said that nothing will change, something will change with me. I'm not going to get into it right now because I'm just not going to be the one to give false hope or anything like that to Miss Patty who's here that I see. I have also worked on a case. And from the very beginning, I want to be involved the day of. I didn't get there until day 4. Had a team that was ready to go. Was told to contact another agency to get the go-ahead. We finally did. When elected, I pledged to do everything that I can to make that better.
Tony, and this is from the community, somebody said this already. We have lost 2 of the detectives working on the double homicide with only you remaining. I don't know that that's a true statement, that only you are remaining. But how will the void be filled if you're elected?
Or they say we've lost 2 detectives, Carroll County.
Carroll County, yeah. And if you're elected, it's the assumption that you will lead that investigation as well on the level that you're at right now.
Correct. I will still remain involved with that, but the general core of this investigation group would stay, and we would incorporate one of our guys into that and get them up to speed. Actually, that's not always a bad thing. So, coming in, it always has that opportunity to see something that maybe there wasn't seen in the beginning to start with.
Mm-hmm.
There is a team that is ready at any given point to assist. Assuming when I'm elected, Tony wishes to stay, obviously. His knowledge of the case is important. We'll discount that a bit. But he'll have some help.
So there's a team someplace.
Yes.
Okay.
Mark, this is going to you first. I've been hearing a lot from you about you've got groups, you've got Montezuma. So it seems like you really think that's needed. And I'm wondering why you think it's so needed. And when you were asked about what you would do different, and you brought up the professional integrity, and I'm not sure you quite meant it that way, but that's what I heard. So why, I feel like you're almost thinking, we don't know what we're doing, we need a lot of help, and if all that help is needed and out there, is it only available if you're sheriff? And then Tony, your part of it would be, hey, is there room for outside entities? Is there a better way? Do we need to build better bridges to support our small office?
So, these groups, these people that I say are available, they can be available now, they're not asked. There's after we reach out for training.
So there you go. And that's what I was saying before. There are people waiting in the wings to help on this case. There are groups. Mark is talking about them, and they are not asked. Nobody wants them in there. It's like, it's the most bizarre thing I have ever seen when it comes to an investigation. You're going on 6 years and nothing seems to be happening as far as an arrest. You've put out this information for a year now about Anthony Shots. It's ridiculous. It is the most crazy, crazy investigation that I've come across in a long, long time. And Mark seems to realize this. And so he has people ready and willing to come in and assist on this. And when you speak to Tony, when they speak to Tony about it, it's here he's talking about, well, we do reach out for training. We're not asking you to go get trained. There are already people who are trained and have a lot of knowledge in this type of investigation. Let them come help you. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid they're going to uncover, Tony and Tobe and the rest of you? What in the world would keep you from wanting some of the best murder investigators in the world to come help you that have solved tons of homicides? Why would you not want their help? It's the same stupid, ridiculous stuff.
You have to. Lafayette they can't do all their own training. They do probably 98% of their own training. But yes, we have to reach out. I'm an instructor. There are things that we can do. We have firearms instructors, emergency vehicle operations. We're very self-sufficient, but you can't do it all. There's no homicide training that we can give each other. There's no crime scene training that we can do, any of that stuff. So we reach out and go to trainings all the time that are not within the department.
I don't want it to come across in a negative way, but this is more for you, Tony. My understanding is that you were promoted into second command. So why are we waiting? Why are we waiting for you to take office before we start?
Like I said at the beginning, I went into chief deputy because it was one of the primary, so the sheriff said, we might as well bring you on board and start learning more sheriff things. I still have cases that I'm working. I'm a detective first. I have a high profile case we're working hard on every day. I don't have any, I can make all kinds of suggestions and do those things. It's still out of my hands regardless. But I'm still primarily, my job duties are detective.
Can I add to that? I'll create a culture of excellence. Basically, people will want to work with me because that's what I have now. People want to work with me. So that's where I come in.
I've done that. You all just talk about all the guys that are backing me. I've created that culture for me. Well, again, I won't speak to current administration, but we have that culture. They want to work hard. They want to do that for me.
But shouldn't you want to do that for the citizens of the town?
Right. No, I 100% agree. But why can he say that create a culture? I'm telling you, that culture's already there.
Yeah, but you said for you, so that's why I just wanted to make sure that people understand it's not about serving you, it's about serving them.
Mark said that he would create a culture around him, and I'm just saying that culture is there.
I actually have two questions. Tony, this is for you. So back in 20, you said that you checked on body camera prices. So I'm sitting here and I found all kinds of brands just sitting here. So I'm kind of curious as to why.
My job as a detective, I was asked to look at and get quotes for the sheriff for body cameras. I did what was asked for me, I gave it to the sheriff. That's what I was asked to do.
My second question is, you just said that you have two positions, you're a detective and chief deputy, right? So now you're looking to that, but you haven't done that, so technically, you've got two positions that don't go into the one. Is that what I heard you say?
Yeah, I'm doing detective stuff.
Yeah, two positions that you don't go into the one.
Correct.
Definitely.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to give you a scenario and then I'm going to ask you both a question, okay? Several months ago, got contacted by a retired West Lafayette police detective. Said he had someone that needed to be checked out that had been brought to his attention regarding the Delphi burglars. Wanted to know if I had anybody to get hold of. I said, sure. I personally contacted the sheriff. He said, I know the guy, and he said, I'll have somebody contact him. 2 weeks later, this West Lafayette detective contacted me back, and he said, nobody's ever contacted me. So I made arrangements for him to meet with a Indiana State Police detective from Peru. How would you handle that? Would you just drop the ball and forget it? Or would you be responsible and send somebody or have somebody contact someone, especially a retired police officer that has somebody in mind that may or may not have been involved in the case?
Who do you want to start that?
Let's start with Mark.
That would be handled swiftly. I would have just simply done what is needed to be done. Make contact. If I didn't make contact myself, I would have had someone that I knew was going to do the same as I would, and they would have made contact with that individual that was called in.
Thank you. Tony?
Yeah, same thing. If I was a sheriff and I didn't immediately call it back, I would have a detective or someone that's involved with the case contact that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You stated, Mark, that you're going to create a culture of excellence. Can you explain the difference, both of you, between that and Field One Network?
You want to start this? Oh, wait, did you want Mark to start? Okay.
So I think, you guys all clap on the good old boy thing. There's nobody that wears a blue shirt that has any animosity towards Mark. I feel like I broke the good old boy nonsense. And now I'm standing up here, won the primary for the Republican Party to be the sheriff of Carroll County. I broke that mold. A culture of excellence is getting people to follow you, to do what it takes to make Carroll County safe and excel at doing it. There's no good old boy. I'm not the good old boy.
So the culture of excellence that I bring up is just that. It is everybody on that department doing the best they can. They have integrity in it. What I mean by integrity is doing the right thing every time, even though nobody's watching. That's what I'll create. That's what I'll insist on having every single day. And that's what is a culture of excellence.
Okay, one last question for you. I've been at the budget hearings, and I heard today.
Okay, so I just wanted you guys to get a handle on what is at stake in Carroll County. Olivia too asked, what could the people of Carroll County do? They need to go to the polls and vote. And they need to vote for change. Because if they vote for the status quo, you just heard Tony Liggett stand up there and say, regarding the Delphi murder case, nothing is going to change. And all I can say, I think things need to change. And that's just me. That's my opinion. From everything that I can see from the outside. Hey, Louisa, how are you? Hey, David. Avondale Mama. I really feel that for this community to begin to come out of this dark corruption type cloud that seems to be hanging over it, the best way for that to happen is to have new blood at the helm. And it bothers me to hear a deputy sheriff, who Tony Liggett is currently, as well as a detective, stand up there and say that they haven't asked people to come in and help them. They don't need it. They're doing just fine without it. I really wonder if the families feel they're doing just fine when we're getting ready to come on a 6-year anniversary in just a few months. It just bothers me. And I don't like the politics of it either, Crimezilla, but this is part of it. Because when you, and we're going to look at that when we look at some of these other cases that we cover over time. When you look at all of the reasons why cases kind of explode and they're all over the news, and then all of a sudden they just peter out, they don't get solved, and the next thing you know, 10 years, 15 years later, you're watching them on a documentary series on television, and they're still unsolved. There's reasons for that. It's not always lack of evidence that keeps these cases from going someplace. A lot of times it's because different law enforcement factions, whatever you want to call it, it's not what I'm trying to say. It's oh, hate it when my mind does this. When you have different jurisdictions, when you have different law enforcement jurisdictions trying to work together, and they don't seem to work together. We talked about this before, early on in Delphi, in the very early days. We had the FBI there, we had ISP, we had Carroll County, we even had some of the other counties out and around Delphi that were helping out at that time. And I can tell you that they were not all in agreement with what was going on in the case. And we can see that. We can see that at the 2019 press conference, you guys, which is one of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight. Was we seem to be on a path in 2017, and then in 2019, abruptly, nobody saw it coming. The families didn't see it coming. I mean, hey, Steve. Hey there, buddy. How are you? I'm so glad to see you. Your show tonight was absolutely out of this world, and I missed some of it. So I'm going to have to rewatch the replay. But you guys, if you haven't watched True Crime Web and Steve and Mrs. Steve's videos from being in Delphi, tonight's was exceptional. You have to go watch it. His work that he has done in Delphi is above and beyond anything that anybody else has done out there. And much love to you. So much love to you for all of that hard work and going into that woods at dark and risking your life, your health, because you talk about, losing balance and falling backwards. I mean, that scares me to death. We don't need to lose you out of this community. We need you intact so you can continue to do your forensic experiments and all of the things that you're doing to help move this case along. Somebody said earlier that they believe that Steve from True Crime Web will solve this case. I guarantee you, if he was beating those streets every single day, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if he had access to everything. Him or Cop Faxx. Perry would be the same way. They're like dogs with a bone. So thank you, Steve, very, very much. But going back to that, and like I said, we have to, we really have to look at everything. And I hear Tony Liggett saying things like, we are super positive. We're really positive right now. Everything's going fine. And this part of me, my heart part of me, wants to believe him and wants to think, yep, we're still on the right path. They're building their case and everything. But the part up here tells me, wouldn't we be seeing more happening positively if everything was great and hunky-dory? I just don't know. And to hear that Mark Pinkard wants to bring in groups of people to help the case and move the case along, to me, more eyes on this at this point in time cannot be a bad thing. It just can't be. And I do think it becomes political. They don't want someone else to take their glory. Or someone else to expose their screw-ups. I mean, I don't know how that works. Steve has been in those positions, and I'm sure he can talk about how politics and how that kind of plays, a role in cases and cases being solved. Because trust me, people, it does. It does. Sadly, it shouldn't, but it does. And Becky Patty was at the debate. You heard Mark talk about it. He did not want to give her false hope. And so he was very careful about what he was saying and about how he worded things. So, yeah, Molly, I'll talk about all of that when I get into his case. I have not covered his case yet. So I'm just talking Delphi right now. And I don't think there's anything wrong, and it doesn't make you look any less by asking people for help. It does, to me, it doesn't show weakness. And that's what I thought. And that's what I thought. See, it is shameful. There's no way that it should. And especially when we're talking about children, and we're talking about 6 children in this county that deserve justice. And there's more than just the 6, as Allie has all spread out for us. There's tons more children that have lost their lives in this county to unsolved crimes. And it's not something that needs to be forgotten. It's something we need to keep talking about. And it's something that we will continue on my channel to focus on, because something needs to happen. I know that it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback. I know that. But you have to look at what's happening or what's not happening and ask yourself why. What can we do better? And these are the questions that law enforcement should be asking themselves every single day. There is a photo. I want to see if I can find it first. Hold on a second. Got to see if I can close out of this. Because there's a photograph that I want to show you guys. I just got to find it. Gots to find it. No, that's not what I want. Let me see. if I can locate it, because it I just downloaded it this week. I thought it was interesting because somebody was talking about it. Let's see. Those are, no. That's not it. One of these days, guys, I am going to figure this computer out. Everybody says, oh, it's so easy. Oops. There we go. Found some stuff. Let's see if what I'm looking for is here. Here it is. I want to show you guys this picture, because this picture that I'm going to show you was up on well, that's really weird. I don't know why. It was up on, it was in a Facebook group post, and somebody was commenting about how it looked here. This was taken just a few days ago. So this is a picture of the building where the new investigation is happening. If you recall, in September of 2021, this is where they moved. Oh, Molly, I would love it. You need to. I know the magic mouse drives me nuts, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So anyway, there's nobody here. There's no cars. The place, this was at 2:00 in the afternoon. There was nobody here at all. This was just a few days ago. And granted, they could all be working out away or doing whatever, but this does not give community members who live in Delphi a good, comforting feeling when they drive by the location where Flora and Delphi are being worked out of and nobody is there. And yeah, I mean, you can take it into context any way you want. I mean, like I said, most of us that work, that worked jobs or work jobs at some point, the 8 to 5 is pretty normal, or 7 to 3 or something like that. But yeah, just to see that. And so in September of 2021, they contracted to lease this building for 2 years. And I remember at the time we were all wondering, why would they have a lease out for 2 years? Well, guaranteed, they knew back then that they were going to need it that long because they were not going to have these cases solved by then. And they've been there 1 full year in that building. So, but I did, like I said, this shocked me a little bit. And this is from a person who lives there. The photo. And I just, it's just things like that, like I said, that kind of can give, it just puts like a bad taste in your mouth as to what might be happening and where they're going with this. Who knows, right? Who knows? All right. Where is something else that I thought was interesting, and I'm just going to show this because I'm tired of people attacking people. This happened today to me today on Reddit in my own sub. I'll talk about that in a minute, but I'm going to show you something. And for people who wonder, it's real easy to Google. When you have a question about something, Google it, because you can certainly find a lot of information when you do. This is a graph from the Weather Channel for what the weather in February of 2017 in Delphi was, and you can look at it by day. So on February 13th, Monday, the day that the girls went out to the bridge, at noon, it was a high of 45 degrees. And by 6 p.m., it was a high of 37. And I'm here to tell you that I've lived in the Midwest, grew up here. I've lived other places as well, Colorado, Arizona, California. But for the majority of my life, I have lived in the Midwest. I'm 2.5, not even quite 2.5 hours from Delphi. And I will tell you that 45 degrees in February with a humidity of, hold on a second. Oops. When the humidity is higher, or can be relatively higher, it was only 44% this day, but that's still going to be cold. You're not going to feel warm. It's February. It's not summer. 44 degrees is a huge difference. It's a huge difference. People here start turning their furnaces on when it starts getting down into the low 60s and the upper 50s at night. So I just wanted people to see what it was. The day the girls were found, it was 45 degrees at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it got up to 50 at noon, and it was 43 at 6. And the next day it was much colder. And then it bounced up a little bit on Thursday, and then it got really warm on Friday the 17th. And I think that people remember those really warm days of those weeks, but they have forgotten how cooler it was on some of the other days, because it was actually extremely warm over the weekend and that the later days in the last week before the murders as well. And my furnace kicked on today. We had rain all day long. Wind, we have had high wind for about 4 days. All the leaves are coming off the trees, and it was cold. There was a chill in the house. So I just wanted to show it because people go off on what the weather was like and how warm it was and how overdressed Bridge Guy was. Now, I'm not saying that he should have had a scarf on his face and all of that. No, I'm not saying that it was that kind of weather at all. But it was definitely his jacket. He was not overdressed at all for that weather. In fact, I'm surprised that Abby and Libby weren't dressed a little bit warmer. But and again, it's all relative. When you're younger, you can handle more extreme temperatures than as you get older. As you age, you don't do that as well. So, but anyway, so I was just tired of it today. Somebody was was driving me crazy over on Reddit and wanted to argue and argue, and I was over it. I was just like, this is what the weather was like, because they kept saying it was unseasonably warm. That is not unseasonably warm. So anyway, in any way, shape, or form. So one of the other things that I wanted to talk about was the press conference from 2019, you guys. Now, we've all talked about this before. But if you remember when Doug Carter stood up there at that podium that day, you know, he told us that they were taking a new direction. And it was as if he was talking to the killer, because he said, you did not think that we would do this, but we have. He was speaking to the killer because the killer misled them. And I believe that wholeheartedly in this case, that the killer misled them. He also talks about the fact that he lives in or around Delphi, and that he was familiar with the area. Nobody expected what happened next at that press conference. When they revealed the new Bridge Guy sketch of young Bridge Guy, Becky Patty said it was like someone had kicked her in the stomach. They had spent 2 years making all kinds of flyers and sending them out everywhere, all over the place, to try and get people to pay attention to who this suspect was. And now law enforcement is standing up there and saying, look, guys, he's not in his 40s and 50s. He's in fact young. He actually kind of looks like a kid. Likely in his 20s. They know where he parked and how long he was there. They didn't ask us about the vehicle at all. They said they were looking for the driver. They were looking for the driver. They already had the vehicle. They knew what the vehicle was. They knew how long the vehicle had been there. And I feel that they know that the description that was originally given to them of who or what Bridge Guy looked like was a lie. Because I feel they would have let us know that the first suspect had been identified and had been cleared. That would have saved law enforcement a ton of grief and a ton of criticism over how they changed the sketches up on everybody, don't you think? They know exactly what person was involved in this crime. Doug Carter told us this is the person who killed these girls. I don't believe he would have made that statement if he wasn't sure. He also told us that it was the totality of evil in his career. Doug Carter has probably seen a lot in his career. I also don't think that catfishing or pedophiles would be the most shocking thing to him, let alone the worst thing that he possibly could have ever seen. And this case is about murder, but there's definitely something different about it. Something more evil than evil can possibly be. I think very possibly in the end, we might see all of these murders, Flora and Delphi, entirely wrapped and twisted in an utter and colossal betrayal. Just an opinion. Just an opinion. I mean, there's just so many things that just don't make sense or add up. And I'm really, the more I've been thinking about it and the more I've tried to make sense out of it, it just is mind-boggling to me that they didn't ask us about Tony Kline. They didn't ask us about Kagan Kline. They asked us about the Anthony Schatz profile. They asked us about people who had interacted with the Anthony Schatz profile. You just got to go outside that box, guys. You just do. It's hard. It's hard to think about doing sometimes, and it's even frustrating for me at times, because part of me wants to that part of me that wants my bias to stay biased wants to say, no, that's not possible, or no, that's not going to make any sense. You don't want to go there. But I definitely think there's a lot of things that we don't know about in this case. We, meaning the general public. We don't know. We've all said it. Everyone who covers Delphi says it. We don't know what law enforcement knows. And for us to assume that we do is arrogant. We just don't know what law enforcement knows. And I believe they know a lot more than we know. And I think what they know is not where we're headed with this case, in where our narrative has been. The more I think about it and the more I look back on things and really try to get outside of my bias, I definitely think that they are building their case. I'm still in the mindset that I believe they could possibly be dealing with a grand jury situation right now, where they have a grand jury that's been seated, that's helping them. And Mandy Ray, you know what? I don't know that it's a red herring. I don't. I still think that somehow that's going to play a role in all of this. I still think that that could very well play a role. But I don't think that it's there. I don't think that that is John, I don't know how to explain it better than that without giving away some things that I know. It's not a betrayal like a betrayal of the victims. That's not what I mean. I think people, I don't believe for any reason that, well, let's just go here. I was going to save this for later, but let's just go here. Hold on a minute. Got to find it first. Got all my stuff out, but I got to make sure that I bring up the right one. So I have all my tabs for everything tonight. So I'm not going to be looking for everything, but I want to talk about this. Just give me a minute to fix my screen to where I can see everything. So on Tuesday, which was today, October 25th, the Carroll County Comment ran an old story, which I thought was really interesting that they did this. The old story was from, hold on a second. Let me see. All right. That was not what I wanted to do. They ran this story back on April 29th of 2020. And it was lots of tips, no arrest in 2017, double homicide. Carroll County Sheriff Tobe Lesenby told the Comment on Monday. Now remember, I'm talking from April 29th of 2020, okay? That they roughly had 40,000 tips had been received in the investigation into the homicides of Abigail Williams and Liberty German on February 13th, 2017. I will source this down below in the details of the live. So if you guys want to go check this out. Lesenby reported that roughly 9,000 tips were received in 2019 and approximately 3,000 had been received in 2020. Libby took a video on her cell phone of someone walking on the bridge, which is believed to be the perpetrator or one of the perpetrators of this crime. Community members and others across the nation have become interested in the investigation to find the murder or murderers, and theories run rampant on social media. Boy, do they. Lesenby advised there is DNA from the crime scene, but refused to divulge from where it's originated. He said there is suggestive evidence of fingerprints found at the crime scene. I don't know what suggestive evidence means. Maybe Steve with True Crime Web knows what he means by that. If you do, could you give us an insight, possibly, Steve? But he said there is suggestive evidence of fingerprints found at the crime scene. This is not simple, the sheriff said. This is not television, and DNA can come from all sorts of places, and fingerprints can be smudged and hard to identify. Lesenby said from the evidence found in the area, the victims were killed on the same property on which their bodies were found, near the Monon High Bridge and the Deer Creek on February 14th, 2017. He said the Deer Creek runs east and west, and the High Bridge Trail runs north and south. The bodies of the girls were found north of the creek and east of the trail. Lesenby said the investigation is not stalled, and it has not been determined if there was one or more perpetrators. We go back and forth on that. he said. The sheriff speculated that a perpetrator has probably been interviewed by investigators about the crime, but was not immediately recognized as an offender. This is what I was talking about, you guys. This was what I was talking about. The perpetrator had probably been interviewed by investigators, but was not immediately recognized as an offender. He said he still believes a local or locals committed this crime. Lesenby said, whoever did this knew the lay of the land. He said when an arrest is made, which he believes will happen, community members will likely be shocked at the identity of those arrested. He said he believes the perpetrator will likely be someone who is fairly well known in the community. Mistakes may have been made early on in the rush to get a resolution to this, Lesenby said. It could be that just the right question was not asked or a nerve was not touched by a question to help us figure out who did this. And to me, that is huge. Yes, Kel, those arrested got that. I'm so glad you saw that as well. Mistakes may have been made early on in the rush to get a resolution to this. It could be that just the right question was not asked or a nerve was not touched by a question to help us figure out who did this. The sheriff said evidence is being revisited to determine if there are more leads than when they first thought, which I'm sure that that's true. Criticism has been leveled against Lesenby because the search was called off on Monday night, February the 13th, and the girls had not been found. This is a Carroll County investigation, Lesenby stated. The investigatory team made the decision to stop searching on Monday night, but that doesn't mean everyone stopped searching. There were volunteers out all night long continuing to look for the girls. I don't know if he's trying to appease himself there by saying that, but volunteer searchers are not professionals. And I mean, when you have professional people that are trained in searches, it's a lot different than just having your good willed neighbors going out and trying to search. The sheriff indicated that two sketches, which varied greatly from each other, were supplied by two different people near the scene on Monday, February 13th. Both images are persons of interest in the investigation. Now, Tobe said this in 2020, 2 years ago. Both images are persons of interest in the investigation. Not somebody that's been looked at that was a RSO that so many people have said and claimed and has been cleared. That's not what he said in 2020. He said both images are of persons of interest in the investigation. Sheriff Lesenby said further information and facts about the case have not been released because investigators believe that by doing that, the case against the accused would become weaker. Lesenby said polygraphs had been administered on some who have been interviewed. However, no information about the polygraphs or who was polygraphed is being released because the investigators want to protect the integrity of the information collected for prosecution. I will tell you that Stephanie Thompson was a polygrapher for this case, as well as for Flora. She was a polygrapher out of Lafayette. They only have 6 in the state. Hey, Captain. How are you? So good to see you. Hi, Charles. So there were polygraphs given to people that they have interviewed. Who and how many, we don't know. The sheriff acknowledged some who have called the local tip line have been unsatisfied with the reception that they've received. He encouraged those with possible information about the murders to email their tips to the Abby and Libby tip at keikosheriff.com or contact the Federal Bureau of Investigation's tip line at Delphi Homicide Tip Line. And if people have not heard information from an investigator or released by the police, they can assume the information is not true. Lesenby concluded. So I would have to say that that has to do with anyone who's claiming to have secret sources. If they've not heard information from an investigator or that's been released by the police, they can assure the information is not true. So with all of that coming out in that article, I thought it was interesting that the Carroll County Comet chose to publish that story on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. Which that story is from April 29th of 2020, just 10 days after the press conference that told us about young bridge guy. I mean, who knows, right? But really interesting information. I just thought it was enough that we should talk about it. I thought it was enough that we should examine what we know that's been going on. Hey, GonZo. How are you, my dear? Are you feeling okay? You hanging in there? Much love to you, my friend. Okay, I'm seeing people climbing into caskets with their children. I don't understand what's going on. What are we talking about? I don't believe that there has been any, we don't have any way of confirmation about searchers touching the girls. All I can tell you is that if there was any searchers that were professionals, they would know not to touch them. And because it's a crime scene, and you certainly wouldn't want to, I'm certain in the condition that they were in, they would know it was a crime scene and that they should not touch the bodies. But that's just my opinion. Stephanie Thompson and her daughter died in a house fire in February of this year. And in Monticello, Indiana, which is just north of Delphi, not very far at all. And her daughter perished in that fire. The ATF is investigating. The fire has never been deemed anything at this point. It is assumed arson, and they still haven't come out with anything about what that fire is all about. And Cal is correct. If the murderer joined the search, they would touch the body on purpose. They would do all kinds of things to, if the murderer was in the search that came upon the girls, they might have done anything. But, you know, it's just interesting to think about all of those things. Yes, John, or yes, Molly. It's quite frightening when you stop and think about everyone associated to this case and to Flora that have lost their lives. I don't necessarily believe or buy that Nate Miller was a suicide. I just don't. It brings up a lot of questions, that's for sure. So, guys, we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk about Xavier Harrelson. And I hope you guys follow along with me here because Xavier's story is heartbreaking. I'm trying to find my picture of him. Hold on a second. I thought I had it right up here, but I don't have it right up here. So I'm trying to get to it. Just give me a minute. I apologize, all of you. All right, let's see. Search. Missing. Here he is. There's that smile. He's got such a great smile. All right, let's share this screen with you guys. So this is a picture of 10-year-old Xavier Harrelson. And we're going to talk about his disappearance. He went missing from a town called Montezuma, Iowa. Very small town. He went missing and then was later found deceased. His case remains unsolved. On September 30th of 2021, the body of a young male was found in a soybean field not far from Montezuma, Iowa. A local farmer called law enforcement to report that he had found human remains while working in his field. Coincidentally, a 10-year-old Iowa boy had gone missing from 4 months earlier from his Montezuma home. The following month, the remains were identified as the missing child, Xavier. His cause of death has yet to be released. Xavier Christopher Tyler Harrelson was a happy and friendly kid who liked to ride his bicycle. He loved to play with his Nintendo Switch and hang out with other children around his neighborhood. The 4th grader had just finished the school year and was looking forward to spending his free time playing with his friends over summer break. On the afternoon of the 27th of May, 2021, a close neighbor, Samantha Ricks, reported the 10-year-old Xavier missing. He was last seen at 11 a.m. that Thursday morning when he left his home. Ricks's 6-year-old son was friends with Xavier, and the two would often play together around the trailer park. When he didn't show up that day, Rix was concerned. It was unusual for Xavier to not be seen around the mobile home park. He was also his mother's caretaker, as she is an amputee and wears a prosthetic leg. He was her other leg, Rix said. The 27th was a cold and rainy night in central Iowa. Xavier was only days away from turning 11. Instead of a joyous birthday party, hundreds of local volunteers showed up to search for him. Searchers spanned over the summer months, but there was no sign of the outgoing 10-year-old anywhere. Diamond Lake Park near Montezuma was combed, along with many other areas around Poweshiek County. Still nothing related to Xavier was found. Sarah Harrelson and her son lived alone in their trailer, and they were alone on the morning he disappeared. Neighbors claim they heard weekly screaming matches going on inside of the Harrelson home between the boy and his mother. It wasn't clear enough, however, to determine what was being said during these arguments. The trailer they lived in was searched by canine units, but nothing significant was found. Investigators unsuccessfully canvassed the town for surveillance footage that could give them any clues to his whereabouts. It was as if he simply vanished into thin air. The field he was found in was only 3 miles northeast of town, and the discovery of his body has made this case even more mysterious. Investigators are keeping the pertinent details concealed. There are no suspects, there are no witnesses, and no clues as to what could have happened to this innocent, outgoing, small-town boy from Iowa. The community is still waiting for answers. Who is responsible for Xavier's death? Was it someone close to him or a complete stranger? How did he die? And why would anyone want him dead? The reward fund offered for his safe return had to be dispersed now that he was found deceased, and $19,000 of the reward was donated to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Xavier will be missed by all of those who knew him. He loved playing with cars, building with Legos, and opening doors for people. He was such a cheerful kid, making sure everyone was in a good mood. He had a smile always on his face. Xavier was described as a shining light in a dark world. The legacy of this beautiful child cannot remain dormant, still lying in that field, unsolved. His killer needs to be found and brought to justice. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation says they are still actively following up on any leads that come in regarding Xavier's case. If you have any information about the death of Xavier Harrelson, please call the Poweshiek County Sheriff's Office at 641-623-2107. Someone knows. Children do not just vanish. So 1 year after Xavier goes missing, this is what the mayor of Montezuma had to say. Sorry, guys, I hit the wrong button.
And we have kids riding their bicycles all over, and they go to the park to play, and they ride their bicycle or walk to the library, and a lot of times, with no parent. And I definitely saw less of that last summer.
This quiet neighborhood is where Harrelson used to live with his mother. Today, his home is under new ownership. We know minimal details about Harrelson's death, but this is the intersection near the field where his body was found. Cause of death has not been released. This intersection is relatively quiet. While I was there, just a few cars passed by, as well as a tractor.
This wasn't an accident, and I think everyone is pretty much on the same page. We would love to have Xavier, given some justice.
Someone knows something that could solve how Xavier Harrelson ended up dead so far from home. If you have information on the death of Xavier Harrelson, contact the Poweshiek County Sheriff's Office at 641-623-2107. Reporting from Montezuma, Iowa, Bailey Chihan, The Gazette. Nearly a year after his disappearance, Xavier Harrelson's hometown of Montezuma, Iowa continues to honor his memory with orange ribbons placed around the town. Harrelson went missing in May 2021, just days before his 11th birthday, and his body was found in September.
My biggest concern was public safety. We have...
Sorry, guys. This was the other one.
These orange ribbons, tied all over Montezuma, have now seen 3 seasons. From summer searches,
The overall goal is to find Xavier.
to the quiet depths of winter.
There's still not a day that we don't pray for him. There's still not a day that we don't think of him.
Samantha Ricks alerted authorities back in May that 10-year-old Xavier Harrelson was missing from the mobile home he shared with his mother. In a new interview, she reveals more details about her search that day.
I'm not sure how many trailers into it where my question turned from, have you seen Xavier, to when was the last time you seen Xavier? Because everybody was like, no, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him today.
4 months later, on September 30th, the farmer discovered his body in a field just outside Montezuma. The 10-year-old still dressed in his pajama pants.
What can you tell us about the autopsy?
There's really not a lot yet that we can discuss, mainly because it remains unsolved. And so we're continuously working with the state medical examiner's office and state anthropologist.
The Iowa DCI says they recovered all of Xavier's remains, but won't publicly reveal a cause of death.
We do like to keep it close to the chest because there's probably only one person, one or two maybe, out there that knows what happened.
The crime still leaves many traumatized, including Rick's son Kyle, who was Xavier's close friend.
He will not play outside. My 7-year-old son will not play outside.
Vigils and benefit concerts rallied people together, but the pain is still there.
Montezuma needs a voice. Montezuma suffered through that whole thing, and it's still pretty touchy.
Xavier's mother has remained quiet, declining interviews, except this one in August during the state fair.
Do you have a theory, an idea, or where he could be?
God, I wish you did.
Sarah Harrelson has faced backlash for not calling police right away.
What do you want to say to people that have maybe questioned you or wondered why?
I have nothing to say to him because I know I'm right.
Investigators were hoping for a break in the case in October. Federal agents executed a search warrant at this home in New Sharon, and DCI agents stood nearby in case there was a connection to Xavier's case. That federal search warrant is still sealed.
You hope that there's a connection and you hope that you are starting to be able to connect the dots. We haven't ruled that completely out.
The DCI says agents still work the case every week, reviewing and reanalyzing people's statements. Rick says she was questioned again in January.
I have nothing to do with this. I know that, so it doesn't bother me, if they come to me for information or opinions.
Her focus, she says, is on remembering Xavier and what he gave to the world.
It's such a joy to be around. his smile. I'll never stop talking about that smile.
And authorities will not reveal if they have any suspects or who they are keeping a close eye on, but say they are actively following up on dozens of leads every week. Now, if you have any information, no matter how small it seems, from those days surrounding Xavier's disappearance in May, authorities want to hear from you. You can call the Poweshiek County Sheriff's Office at 641-623-5679. Stacy.
Laura, thank
Sorry, guys. I was coughing and I didn't think you deserved to have to listen to all of that. So, basically they said once they found Xavier's body, which was 4 miles from his house in this field, the whole community became shocked and in fear, as you can understand. And they were saddened by the loss of this little boy. The thing that's interesting about this is that the confirmation of Xavier's death comes 3 years after the discovery of the body of Molly Tibbetts, she was another resident of the Poweshiek County, and her body was found off of a dirt road surrounded by cornfields. Tibbetts was a 20-year-old college student who was reported missing after a run near her hometown of Brooklyn, just 15 miles from Montezuma. And people have often wondered if the farmhand Christian Bahina Rivera, who was later convicted of Molly's murder and her death, possibly had something to do with this case. However, I doubt it, is my opinion, but who knows? It's just heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. And I thought one of the things that I thought was interesting about Xavier's case, there was a few things that caught my mind. caught my eye and made me really start thinking about Delphi and Evansdale. It seems that Indiana and Iowa have very similar ways of investigating murders, and especially murders of children. They hold everything close to their vest. They don't talk about anything. They don't want to let you know what the heck they're doing. And for us as the public, that is so frustrating. It's frustrating for us when there's no factual communication coming from law enforcement on these cases. And I understand that they don't want to give away too much. I totally back them on that. But you would think that they would talk somewhat about these cases to help solve them. If you know, 9 times out of 10, law enforcement needs help from the public. And especially in these places where, you know, they're outlying areas and they're small communities, and you need tips, and you've only got so many tips that are going to come in. And I mean, this case breaks my heart because there's no witnesses, there's nothing. I mean, it's the same as Delphi in that respect. We don't have witnesses to the crime. We're not even positively sure that the people that are witnesses that say they saw Bridge Guy are actually saw him. We don't know that. Yeah, John, very good question. I'd have to look into that and see. I think we all were hoping that for Molly. But yeah, I wanted to share his story because it's new. You know, he just went missing last year. They found him, I would say, quickly. He was left outside in a remote area, but you could see it. I showed you the picture, right in broad daylight. It wasn't like anyone tried to conceal his body. They just left him there. And, you know, he still had his pajama pants on. So what happened? What happened to him? It really, really, really makes you wonder. I don't know. My heart just broke for him, and I felt the need to share him with you guys. I hate the fact that these crimes just keep happening. I did have an update. That was one thing I was going to talk about. Hold on a second. Was little Quentin. There is let me see if I can find it. Okay, guys. I wanted to show you this because I thought you guys all remember, and you may have been, hopefully you're following, excuse me, you're following Quentin's story still. I've been posting some updates on the community page, but I thought this was interesting to watch.
It took me a couple of days to even comprehend that he wasn't here.
So that's a picture of his mom and his grandmother. And it took her a couple days to comprehend that he wasn't even here. Hold on, there's one other thing. I'm going to stop the screen while I find it on my Twitter. Oh, this baby. Look at this face, you guys. Little Quentin. Little baby. Ugh. Oh, double rainbows. Congratulations on your 3-month membership as a detective with the Doors. I am so excited. That is awesome. 3 months. Thank you so much. He was only 19 months old. So he is just a baby. But I thought the interview with mom and the interview with grandma, because they both talk in it, was quite telling. And the other case that we've been talking about, Investigation Discovery is going to have a show on Lucian, and I wanted you guys to see that. But here's little Lucian. He's the little boy who's autistic, who went missing. And Investigative Discovery is going to do a show on him. If you remember right, he went missing from Yakima, Washington. Lucian Mungia, and his dad was changing. They were at a park. His dad was changing his little baby sister's diaper, turned his back for just a moment, and turned back around, and Lucian was gone. These cases are just, like I said, absolutely heartbreaking. And every day when I sign into my Twitter, I'm just blown away by, there's just more. There's always just more. But anyway, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. Is there anything that you guys wanted to discuss, or do you have any questions for me for what you saw tonight? I'm going to go ahead and do there's only 62 of us in here right now. There was over 100 and some when we were talking Delphi, but I'm going to go ahead and do my StreamYard giveaway, and I'm going to give away a Flora bracelet for those that are still here. And we're going to do hashtag Quentin. And oops. So just put in hashtag Quentin, and you will be in the drawing for a Delphi bracelet, or I mean a Flora bracelet, sorry. And this is what the Flora bracelet looks like. It's black and purple. And it has 4 justice. And then it has the girls' names. The girls' names are on it. And so, what am I trying to say here? Allie and I had these made for the Flora girls. I didn't feel good that I think they had wristbands in the beginning when Flora first happened, but I don't see anybody talking about them anymore. So I thought it was important that we have them, not just for the Delphi girls. And so, yeah, I try to give away either a Delphi bracelet or I try to give away a Flora bracelet every show. So, to somebody. You guys make sure that you like and subscribe to my live tonight. The best way that you can support me is by liking and sharing my videos. That gets me moved up in the algorithm for YouTube, which grows my channel and gets other people to see the information that I'm creating around these cases. Yeah, Lisa, I'm going to start having some more Flora shows here real soon because the anniversary is coming up, and I think that they need to be first and foremost. I just think we need to be talking about them the more and more. And my heart just breaks for Galen. I can't. As a mother who has lost her child, I lost my son who was 4 to cancer. In fact, his anniversary of his death was the 16th. And I can't even imagine losing all 4 of my children at the same time in such an absolutely horrific way, in a horrific manner. My heart just breaks for her. And I hate to say it's like they're forgotten, but you just don't hear them talked about, even in the debate that was going on and we were watching. They were talking about Abby and Libby, but they didn't talk about the 4 girls from Flora. It's like Kiana and Cariel and Kiara and Kayani were all just forgotten by that community. Oh yeah, Molly, thank you so much. It is. The anniversaries are the toughest and the hardest. And what's weird is that some years are worse than others. I never know. My body usually knows before my heart knows that it's coming. So Joe Kenda's amazing, but then so is Ken Maines. And, I still say that Ken would be someone who would do amazing things working with the Delphi case. I just do. I think Paul Holes has been talked to by the investigators from Delphi. Hey, Rockaways, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Thank you, Charlie883. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. If you guys haven't read Paul Hole's book on the Golden State Killer, you need to. Awesome book. But I've missed you guys. I'm sorry I wasn't here on Saturday. We'll get back on schedule. Paul Holes. Paul Holes is the investigator who broke the Golden State Killer case. He is amazing. But this is his book. It's called Unmasked: My Life Solving America's Cold Cases, Paul Holes. And here's a picture of him. He's amazing. I'm serious. But yeah, he's the detective who found him. And he obviously had help, but oh man, he's just a really, really down to earth guy, and really easy to listen to. Molly, Paul Holes is the one who said at CrimeCon this year that there is DNA in the Delphi case, but he's fearful that they have the DNA of the killer mixed in with so much of the DNA of Abby and Libby, because the crime scene was so bloody that it's diluted the killer's DNA enough that they don't have enough markers to get a full profile, and that they had an uphill road when it came to DNA. No, Paul Holes did not found the DNA company. They used Parabon Nanolabs and CC Moore. That is her company, CC Moore. And she's amazing. If you ever get a chance to listen to CC, or just... No, he said that there was so much DNA from the victims. And that was the crime scene was bloody, based on the Ron Logan search warrant. So the Ron Logan search warrant tells us that. And his name is Holes, Holes. Oh yeah, I'm positive that he did, because he was in contact with CC Moore, and he asked for their help, and they're the ones who started doing the genealogy backtracing of going backwards, and that's how they found him. But my true crime library, you guys. Anyway, those are good books to read, and I would always encourage anyone who's trying to broaden their minds, or learn more about the processes, to read these guys' books, because they are really, really good. Charlie 883, thank you so much for your super sticker. You almost squeezed by me. I almost kept talking and did not thank you. I am so happy. Thank you so much for your support of the channel. You're always so supportive, and I so appreciate that. I hope that whatever ISP tells us about the little boy, Mrs. Thing, is something good. Because that little boy also needs justice. But anyway, you guys, I'm going to take off, get out of here. I will see you guys on Thursday. I am going to start, like I said, working on some stuff for Flora. I think I'm going to do some collaboration with Flora again. I know that Allie and I are going to get back to it. She's not been feeling well. And there's a lot that we want to cover, a lot of information that we're sharing with others, with Steve from True Crime Web and Faxx, and we're just trying to get all of our bases covered, and then we're going to be putting out more content regarding Flora because Fatal Vision is a very, very good book. The reason Fatal Vision is such a good book, Molly, is because when McGinnis wrote the book, he started out writing the book as if he felt that Jeffrey McDonald was innocent. And as he continued to write the book, he realized he wasn't. I think that's what makes that book so amazing. In fact, Jeffrey McDonald thought that he was going to write a book to get him exonerated. So he was quite furious when the book was finished. I'm feeling much better. I actually have a follow-up visit on Friday with my cardiologist, and I can't wait to see him because I know he's going to be thrilled. Everything has been so good. My numbers are all good. Everything. Yeah, you can get all the books on Amazon. I got all my books on Amazon. Oh, sorry guys. Yeah. I need to do the drawing. Is everybody in it? I've got 8 people. Is there anybody else that wants to be in the drawing? Put in #Quentin. Otherwise, I'm going to draw. Sorry. Thanks for reminding me, Mrs. Thang. Yes, I remember when it happened. It happened right after the Manson murders. All right, here we go, guys. And the winner is Sharon Parker. Hey, Sharon. Congratulations. Just send me your information and I will get your Flora bracelet right out to you. Hey, Tech Death. How are you, honey? What you doing? Yeah, the Jeffrey McDonald case is so sad. I mean, everybody talks about how horrible the Watts family annihilation was. This was to me just as bad. And for those of you who do not know, Jeffrey McDonald was a Green Beret that at Fort Bragg in 1970 who actually killed his entire family, his daughters and his wife, and then made it seem like hippies had come in the house and did it. And he was a medic, doctor. Sorry. He was a doctor and he knew how to stab and he stabbed himself. And he was the only one that survived everything that happened. So, and yeah, it's a frightening case. He's a psychopath, in my opinion. He's the scariest of the type of killers because of how nonchalant he is about everything. Yeah, Tech Death is his outro is wonderful. We all love listening to it. And I'm going to get out of here so you guys can. Much love to all of you. Everyone be safe and make sure that you are kind. It does not take much to be kind. Keep it real, guys.